mean, it's always important. For all entrepreneurs to be able to show the next generation that it's possible for one, and try to incorporate them young enough so they can learn from it. Also, because I found in our communities especially, the earlier you bring the kids in, the earlier you start to inform them of business and how important it is and how it functions and works, then the more they, the more they adapt to it, and the smarter they are about it. I found when you try to teach them at 23, 25, when they've already learned what could be their way of doing it or learning it or whatever, that might not be proper, then it's just a little bit more difficult. So I would say like it's really important to get back to the younger generation, start a little bit younger to make them understand what business is and how it affects the economy and how it affects just life period.
Very good. Thank you so much. Next question. Like I grew up listening to music, so like I'm a huge fan, right? And I know in the rap community, in those times, especially when you first started, that the communities were smaller, like a lot more tight-knit. People knew each other, and relationships were super important. Tell me about your experience and your journey with that, and also any advice for Black entrepreneurs who are struggling to build meaningful connections.
I mean, the community is always where you start from. Even from a songwriting standpoint, if I take Monica, for example, then, she was a product of a community that was in Atlanta of girls who were just probably, faster than their age at 14 years old, or just, saw a lot, at those points and times. So, every record we made from her, basically came out of the community, and somebody was going to say, hey, that's me too. I'm just like a Monica. That's why they love it. Or even when you start products, if it's Black hair care products or anything else, it usually starts within the community that you understand and that you see it's a need for. So when you go in the community and say, oh, I see it's a need for this, then you make that product for it, or you make that music for it, or that ice cream like Jermaine did or whatever. It's it all starts from the community first. So understanding the community is where your real connection is going to come from.
Great. So the next question. One more? Okay, great. Okay, so last question. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask a hip hop question, right?
Yeah.
So, in the community right now, sometimes maybe some of the newer artists don't have as much respect and acknowledgement for the old school or even the originators and pioneers, if you will, right?
Yep.
Most recently, 21 Savage was maybe throwing shots at Nas.
Yep.
How do you feel about that, and any messages for young artists about the history of our culture, hip-hop culture specifically?
I mean, it's it's kind of like I look to the artists at this time because there's so much music that comes out a day. It's over 100,000 records that come out a day. A lot of our newer artists, unfortunately, they didn't come up the way we did, where it was a limited amount of artists, so you only had a certain amount of art to choose from, and you could reach it and say, oh, I want to be like this person, I want to be like that person, I want to be like Jay-Z, or I want to be like Teddy Riley or whatever. Like, there's so many people that come out, it's nothing for them to grab a hold to except for whatever they hear is the most popular. And when they grab a hold to that, then it's like, so is another 100,000 people at the same time, So it's just, it's if anything, find your way to be unique and on your own thing, but like always kind of, I would tell them, you gotta understand roadmaps and stuff before you can know where you're really, really going. So the ones who are really successful at it, they find that from people that's laid the roadmaps before and consider them mentors, whether they're rappers, producers, artists, or whatever. Most successful artists always looked at somebody else and said, man, I really want to be them one day. And that's just about that roadmap. You got to find that roadmap, from people who've done it before.